Good morning.
To another edition of the Morning Cup. Paige, Arizona's morning show. Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. And thank you for liking, commenting, and sharing on all of these videos.
Yes, thank you.
It's Friday. Friday. Wait. Before we get into it, today's episode is brought to you by Page Hospital. Big shout out to them for sponsoring the morning show, guys. We do have to roll the commercial now. Are you ready for the commercial?
Yes.
Are you ready for the commercial?
Yes, and thank you, Page Hospital.
Yes, thank you very much. And if you're not ready for the commercial, too bad. You can come back in a few minutes.
Oh, it's not that long.
No, I know. Oh, look, there you were.
Yeah.
Hold still. I can't adjust it while you're moving, man.
Oh, my.
Wait, the show's for entertainment purposes only. Shh. All right, here it comes. Alright, so don't forget there is going to be mail-in ballot stuff coming in November. So check those post office boxes. And check out Proposition 431. We have a post on the main page that has some information.
Yes.
Do your research, check it out. And don't forget, Page Hospital is sponsoring the morning show.
Yes, they are. And I looked this morning, and it looks like the ballots will be mailed off on the 15th of October.
Oh. Huh?
Yeah. But they'll be mailed out to everybody on the 15th.
I thought it was in November.
Right, but because it's a mail-in ballot.
They're doing it early?
They're sending them out for everybody.
All right, so be aware of that. The things that you learn when Lois is around, I tell you.
Right?
Like, who would have known, man? Who would have known? Jay says, morning, y'all. Come on, Jay. Good to see ya. Steven says, good morning from the Blacks.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Good to see you. Scott says, morning, y'all.
Morning.
Morning. Long time no see. Beatrice says, good morning. Good morning. Oh, excuse me. And Sarah says, hello, Chris and Teresa. Flagstaff weather is nice. Nice.
Good morning. Yay. Glad to hear that.
Awesome. Yeah, it's, well, it doesn't really matter what the weather is here. It is that time of year where Lois is frozen at all times.
At least one appendage.
She set the tribble off, guys. She did it. That is one tribble. Give me the tribble. Give me the tribble. Give me the tribble, Lois.
Aww,
she's already set off the tribble.
The poor little dribble.
She set it off. We're going to set it up here on the desk to see exactly how many times you're going to be setting that off today. Yeah. All right. We'll just keep that right over there on the desk. I don't even know what just happened.
Oh.
Renee says, happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday.
Yes. Scott says, I know, right? I know, right? But yeah, it is Friday. It's actually nice outside. A little warm in the house. Lois is frozen. I guess just another normal day.
Yeah.
And oh wait, she's here.
Yes, I am.
Hi, Lois. You are.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Oh boy, no.
You're making Pete Lois is jealous.
Okay. Well, Pete Lois, it will be. Yeah, no.
And for those of you that don't know, Peep Lois is in her Halloween outfit. So that is why it's a little cyclopean.
Oh my goodness, not again with the beep.
Well, why not? I mean, I made the prop. We might as well use it.
Well, that is true.
Besides, it's a Peep bunny with one gigantic eyeball. I mean, you can't really beat that.
No, you can't. You can't. And Renee is saying TMI, Lois. No, actually, no. My appendages do freeze, and I have to show everybody. My feet are frozen this morning, so I put on fuzzy socks and tennis shoes to, yeah. But those are the only appendages that are cold today.
I don't even know what to say to that, man. I forgot to open up the YouTube site to see if anybody's over there. So they're probably feeling left out.
Oh, probably. This is what happens when I screw everything up.
Our internet died. Oh, no, it's back. No.
We're fine over
it
here.
actually went down to 0, which means it's not broadcasting.
Oh.
I was there.
Okay,
it came right back, but our internet, man.
Just
keep
going.
I'm going to bitch about it right now.
No, oh! Beep.
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 I am so freaking sick and tired of that. I tell you what, man. Some days. To
the moon, Alice.
Or pow, right in the kisser. Tell you what, man. Let's see. Scott says, I'm usually at work at 7 your time, but headed to see someone in the hospital.
Oh.
Well, I hope they're okay.
Yeah.
Sarah says, I am in Flagstaff watching you. Yeah, we got that from you telling us the weather was good. But awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Renee is laughing.
Yes. I do have the fuzzy socks. It's that time of year where I need to break out on my fuzzy and...
Your Arctic gear?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's not cold yet.
But it is to me.
Oh, my God. I can't handle it, man.
That's why I like the winter, because I can just layer up.
Yeah, but then you're still cold and you're still... So you like it that you can complain? What is going on with
it's not the complaining. It's... I don't know what it is, but I like the layers. I don't know. Oh, I'm weird that way.
I don't know, man. But I will tell you one thing right now. Next time you stick your foot up there like that, you might want to shield your coffee. There was so much dog hair on the bottom of your shoe, I thought I was going to die.
Oh, we just breathe in dog fur, and it randomly ends up in our
Who needs air filters, man? The dog hair that's in the air filters the air for us. Yes. It's better than one of those activated carbon filters, man. Get the chlorine taste out of here. What?
Oh, no.
Renee says, it's kind of
herky-jerky this morning.
Yeah, the internet is a flaming pile of steaming feces. That's all I'm going to say about it right now. It's driving me crazy. Al says, good morning from Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Good morning.
Good to see you, South Dakota.
Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it. And thank you for letting me come and take
Yeah, there's a... frame rate. There it goes. Yep, pretty much.
Don't get me started, man. We're now in the green, so we'll see what the heck happens with that. But Scott says, I'll message you later. All right. Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Sarah says, how's the weather in Page, Arizona? Depends on who you ask. It's a beautiful morning out.
It is a beautiful
slightly
morning.
More humid than usual. But if you're Lois, it is below Arctic temperatures.
No, it's not below Arctic. It's just cold for my feet, and I think it's a beautiful morning.
It's beautiful.
It's a nice crisp outside.
Yeah, but it's moist, so it's not crisp.
Okay, it's wobbly.
This show's for entertainment purposes only. Gina says, I love the cold. So do I. I just don't like hearing all of the I'm cold. Renee says, so far we shut the AC off at night. Yeah, I've been doing that for... I don't know, about 2 weeks now?
You're asking the person who's been working nights.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I haven't had to have the AC on in like a week or two, probably.
Oh, baloney, you turned it on yesterday.
No, I said at night.
Oh.
Overnights, Lois. It might actually even be closer to 3 weeks. I'm not sure. I have to figure that out. But anyway, yeah, we overnights. I was just just run all the darn time. But now it's only during certain parts of the day, and then we hear, it's
oh yeah, yesterday it was cold.
It was 71. It was perfect.
AC going, and I'm like, or the swamp going, and I'm like, why didn't you just turn on regular air, not the cold
it was nice.
Part?
It was a perfect 71 degrees with the AC on.
It was cold.
It was nice.
It was cold.
It was nice.
It was cold.
71 is nice.
Oh, that was cold.
Nice.
I was all bundled up in my.
You're always bundled up. You know that's another thing. So. Sometimes you have to learn to deal with these things when you're in a situation like myself. For instance, your guts.
Oh.
We're going to talk about your guts.
Oh, yeah, the whole schedule changeover thing.
No.
Oh.
No. Okay, so she always has that tummy. She's like, oh, my tummy's hurt. My tummy's upset. There's this, there's that. It's always a little bit of this or that. And some things may or may not affect them more than others. We're not really sure what the pattern is. So I've given up on trying to find specific dietary needs that'll fix it and just said, your tummy's jacked up all the time. You're just going to have to deal with it and eat whatever it is.
Pretty much.
So, it's just like you're always bundled up. So I'm going to adjust the temperature to where I like it. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't matter. You're cold anyway.
Well, you do have a point there.
Oh, yeah! She set off the dribble again. Bam! Just like that. We have two dribbles.
Oh, my.
What? You set it off again, man. That's two dribble episodes already.
Oh.
Renee says, we just did for the first time last night. Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Gina says, my AC comes on during the day. Yeah, I know. And that's what it was yesterday. I turned it on, and she's like, it's cold. Like, shut up, you're always cold.
You were saying that you just wanted some fresh air coming into the house, and I said, then why didn't you just turn on the blow?
Fresh air.
I mean, it was cool outside.
I don't care. You don't get to say the temperature anymore. You're always cold. Shut up.
I love you, too.
Unless it's like 30 degrees outside, I don't want to hear it. It don't matter. It don't matter.
Oh, goodness gracious.
That's it, man. That's
all right.
At least the people always doesn't complain about the temperatures.
No.
Although occasionally with the dry eye.
Yeah, just a bit.
Hopefully no red eye. You know what? That'll be the Halloween costume. We'll put the red eye lines in there.
Oh.
We'll draw it on with like a Sharpie. It'll be fun. And then we could do like a Visine commercial. It'll be fun. Or
Lord.
Clear Eyes.
I think we'd get copyrighted for that.
Yeah,
one.
probably. Jay says, a few ice baths and you'll adjust. It's good for you. No, she wouldn't. There's no adjusting.
No. No.
She doesn't adjust to anything well anymore.
No, I don't.
Apparently, that's just past that phase of life.
After 35, it just started going downhill. That was my over the hill age, was 35.
All right. I remember when I had a quarter life crisis.
Really?
Yeah, when I was 25.
Oh.
That's what I called it. It was my quarter life crisis.
Oh, okay.
I figure if you're going to have a half, why not have more? You know? Never let a crisis go to waste, right?
There you are. Yeah, my over the hill was 35. Yours was apparently 25.
No, because I can still adjust to stuff. I have no issues adjusting to most things.
Most things.
You, on the other hand, you are like an inflexible rod that snaps every time a little pressure is applied to one end of it.
No, not
yes,
always.
you are.
Not always.
Not always, but 99.9% of the time, yes, you are. You cannot adjust.
Where it takes me a little bit.
Like
today I am finally feeling human again.
Yeah, but it took how many days?
2.
It took 2 days. And then you didn't, what about with the overnights? You never adjusted to that either.
There were days where it was fine, and then there were days...
there wasn't. I was there.
There were days where it was fine.
I think you were so tired you just
my
did not realize how not okay you were.
Oh, good Lord, no.
I'm just saying, you were not adjusting well. Putting that out there.
I love my job, though.
Well, good. I'm glad you love it. It was just the hours that sucked.
I think 10s would be better. Better handled than 12s.
Than 12s, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a 12-hour overnight shift is definitely a...
well, a 12-hour shift, period.
Well...
It just, it drags on.
Well, suck it up, Buttercup.
Well, yeah, I am, but...
you like your job? You want to keep it?
I do, very much. And when it's a 24-hour thing and you only have 4 people.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I got an idea. How about let's not get into the minutia of it and we'll just make fun of you for not adapting?
Well, okay, fine.
That's where I was going with it. That's all I'm saying.
You got another comment.
Oh,
coming through.
Hold on. Let me take a look over here. Let's see. Roberta says, good morning, y'all. Have a great day. You too.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Good to see you. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, you do not adapt well to pretty much anything.
Oh, I do.
No.
Oh my goodness.
And you have given the dogs PTSD.
Well, they already had that.
I know, but now they've got it for different reasons. Three tribbles.
Oh my goodness.
Wait, we gotta hang it up there for everybody. She set it off again.
Oh.
Rabid tribble alert. Oh, that was me. That doesn't count. That was me. Oh my goodness. It's gonna vibrate off the desk. That's what she said. Warning, this show is for entertainment purposes only.
Oh my goodness.
Stop vibrating. Stop. You can't laugh that loud while it's going off. You're missing opportunities, man. Roberta's dying of it.
Oh.
I don't even know, man. I don't even know.
Oh, goodness gracious.
It is, I don't know. So today is Friday.
Yes.
And that means, so I've got a package coming.
Yes.
And I've been waiting for it anxiously for a while.
Yes.
And I was hoping it was going to be here yesterday.
It was supposed to be here yesterday.
But then I found out that they only come to Page on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So I was very sad.
Yes.
And they told me on the phone yesterday that it was supposed to be here between 11 and 4. And I checked the tracking, and now it says it's going to be 5.
Oh, poor baby. Oh, if you guys can't see it, his lower lip is wiggling. Oh.
I know. Give me my worms, man.
And there's a sale somewhere that you want to go to.
Ah, crap! I can't go. Oh, 4! She did it again! Yes! The tribble is strong with you today, Lois. Do you want to touch it?
No.
You want
No,
touch
not right
the
now.
tribble, Lois.
No.
Touch the tribble.
But yeah, there's a sale going on.
I know.
And we can't go today.
I forgot. You can't do that while it's all going off. You're missing opportunities. Man. Oh, wow. They're in everything. We're at 0.
And Carrie says, good morning. Good morning.
Oh, hello. Over on YouTube, Carrie says hello.
Yes,
hello.
yes.
I don't know that's you. We're at 4 triples already today.
Yes, we are.
There's a sale going on at Harbor Freight. They got stuff, man. They're at Harbor Freight, and I can't go because I gotta wait for a package.
And we would go, except you have to sign for it.
I know. And you know, there's even stuff that I need for installing the package that I could get at Harbor Freight.
Yeah.
Man.
I had already thought about that. Evidently, you hadn't.
I forgot.
Because you wanted to go today.
I blocked it out of my mind, and I was like, yeah, Harbor Freight. And then, no.
Well, you could go, and I could just stay here.
You can't sign for it. They won't let you.
Why?
I don't know.
I'm the wife.
Oh, you're the wife.
I'm the wife.
She's the wife. Interesting. The wife. I don't know, because it's heavy, and if it's required that you participate in its extraction from the vehicle, you will die. I'm just saying.
And Carrie's saying she'll sign for it.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to do that. The whole thing is, you know, it's big, it's expensive, and somebody has to be here, and we have to inspect it for damage. So if it's damaged, that we don't accept it so that we don't get screwed. So.
Okay. So we could just go tomorrow.
I know, but I want to do a different today.
Aww. Aww.
I like me my Chinesium tools, man. That's all I'm saying.
Chinesium?
Yeah, it's a metal alloy. It's called Chinesium.
Okay. It's
very inexpensive.
Oh my goodness.
It usually will hold up at least a little bit.
No.
That's all I'm saying. Sometimes you only need 1 or 2 good uses out of a tool. Chinesium is perfect for that. What? I think it's good stuff, man.
Oh, that's horrifying. You got a comment over on Facebook, by the way.
Take a look over here. What we got? Renee says, forgot your worms yesterday when I was at the store.
Yeah, we even went to the store and I completely spaced them.
Space worms.
Yeah, you were. Wasn't there? Oh no, it was Earthworm Jim.
Yes, Earthworm Jim.
There's a version for you, Space Worm Jim.
Space Worm Lee. That's me. I'm a space worm.
Oh my goodness. No, not going there.
We're For purpose only.
And PG-13.
Don't know what you're talking about, man. Renee says, did you buy a bigger monitor? She gonna blow coffee out her nose holes. Oh, man, it was close.
It was close, but no.
Yeah.
And no, it is not a bigger monitor.
No. We got, it's called a ductless mini split for heating and cooling purposes. What?
Yeah, it's all you, dude.
I know.
I know. Uh-huh.
But it's for your benefit.
I know it is.
So, yeah. Anyway. Although, if we leave early enough, we might be able to get back in time before they drop it off. But it's going to be between 11 and 5, so it's not going to work.
No, because of how long you will walk around Harbor Freight.
Shh. Renee says, I love that game. Oh, yeah, no, I don't need a bigger monitor.
You need glasses.
No, I need a bigger monitor.
No, you need glasses.
Wait, did I just contradict myself on live TV? Hi, welcome to the show. Yeah, I don't know. Oh. So I guess we'll have to do it another day.
Yeah, tomorrow.
No, because then tomorrow I'm going to be installing the thingamabob.
But if you need tools,
there's only one that I need, and technically it's cheaper to just get it locally. So we'll just.
So in other words, we're missing the sale.
Yeah. Because I gotta install the thing. You can't just get something like that and not put it in.
Oh boy. What? Really? Really?
I love you.
What? I love you too, but really?
Why don't you show us your 10%?
Oh my goodness.
So we talked at the beginning of the episode about there's elections and crap coming up in November. Apparently they're mailing them out in October, so don't lose them.
Yeah.
There's other political stuff afoot coming up next week. Don't forget there's a council meeting next week with all kinds of crazy stuff on it. Yay!
I'm not going there.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm
going
down
to say
that
you're a
road
council
with you
person
right now. Down that road with you right now.
Oh.
I will be at the meeting, but no. I don't want to go down that road right now. I'm having fun.
I was just putting it out there. So.
Right.
I don't want but we got it.
So you're talking about Harbor Freight. Oh, Renee.
Oh, Renee says Oktoberfest kicks off today.
Woo!
Nice.
Yay! We'll have to go check it out.
Yeah, I put up a flyer for them.
I've been so out of it, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I know. But we put out a flyer the other day because Oktoberfest is it the 4th? Oh, it is the 4th. Because I was like, didn't it start on the 4th? It's the 4th.
And I'm the one who's been upside down.
I don't know what day it is on a good day. Quiet. What are you doing? I'm talking.
I know.
All right, there it went.
No.
Yep.
Keep going.
No, I was done.
No, you weren't.
She's already scrolling through the list.
No, there's a reason.
Peep.
There's a reason.
Peep.
There is a
she
reason.
She put up a list while I was talking.
I did. Because you want to go to Harbor Freight and go shopping.
Yeah, but we were already moved past that. We were talking about the freaking Oktoberfest.
I hadn't moved past it, but this also has to do with Oktoberfest.
I had a funny and everything. It's all gone.
Then do it.
No. What do you got?
So, okay. Now, is there a Harbor Freight in St. George? We need to look.
Right.
Because you want to do your shopping there. I want to do my shopping here.
What is it?
You have to click.
This one?
Uh-huh. That one right there.
Alright, fine.
And this goes along with Oktoberfest.
You need to turn the vibraties off on your phone. I don't like that. Alright, let's see. Renee says tomorrow is the big day.
Nice.
All right.
Sweet.
Alright. It's over at the bowl. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you know that whole thing though, where you're either a member of the network or an enemy of the network. Yes, but since it's for you, Renee, that's what. Let's see. Costco is selling an advent calendar filled with 24 cans of beer. Oh,
see, I told you.
I can't believe that didn't set off the trouble. It's an advent calendar filled with beer.
It has to do with Oktoberfest, and
Except it's not. It's an advent calendar, which means it's for December.
Right, but I mean, come on, really, you don't have to wait.
Holy crapoly, man! It's $60.
Yeah.
Damn! It's only 24 cans of beer. That's paying $60
each
for a
beer-
24 pack.
Each beer is a German beer.
Oh. I'm gonna have to try. See if I can pull this up.
So, see, you want to go shopping at Harbor Freight. I want to go shopping at Costco, and it has to do with Oktoberfest.
Ah.
Ha!
I gotta make it bigger. That's what she said.
Oh
moving on.
boy!
So there it is, guys. Look at that. Brewers Advent Calendar for 2019. That is really cool. I wonder, does it have more pictures?
No, that's the only picture, but it's a little bigger than what you're showing.
Oh.
There you go.
That's what she said.
Yeah,
Get the tribbles on my mouth.
That sounds horrifying. Just saying.
All right, so okay, there it is.
There we are.
That's the whole thing.
Yep, German beers.
Wow. It says open a beer a day, December 1st to the 24th. 24 exclusive imported German beer specialties. Each window contains one 16.9 ounce can of premium imported German beer. What?
You completely disappeared off the screen.
Oh, you do that all the damn time. Why are you complaining to me about it?
Because it's my job to disappear off the screen. It's not yours. I'm just saying.
Jay says tomorrow is the statistically most common birthday.
Interesting.
Interesting. What's even more interesting is that similar to my own knowledge set where it's completely worthless and pops out at random times. Welcome to the club.
Oh my goodness.
I had no idea, but apparently on the Oktoberfest main event day is everyone's most common birthday.
Yes.
But it is not my birthday.
No.
Nor your
No.
birthday.
No.
So if this is true, if tomorrow is the most statistically most common birthday, what were people doing 9 months ago that was so interesting, that was statistically what they were doing to create said birthday?
Valentine's Day.
Was that 9 months ago?
Probably.
That's a good point.
Either that or New Year's.
I'm just saying, since it's the most common birthday,
holidays.
what was happening that was statistically significant 9 months ago? That's all I'm saying, man. Renee says, yes, Harbor Freight is in St. George. Oh. Excellent. Renee says, little horn... What?
Huh?
Little horn dog needs a mate.
I don't want to know. I don't
know,
remember.
I don't even know.
Yeah, that's been more than 30 seconds for me.
No. I'm a little concerned, though. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, okay. So here's what the article says. Newsflash! It's not even October, so technically we haven't even entered the holiday season yet. Well, it is now, but this article was written a while ago. Let's see. Hold on, I'm looking for it, man. It's the same picture. I want to see what it looks like. Open. I'm looking at the beer advent calendar. Now we gotta go and cut one open. I want to know.
No, we gotta go and buy at least one.
I know it's $60, man.
Yeah.
Although they are 16.9 ounce cans of beer, which is bigger than your normal 12 ounce can of beer.
And they're German.
And they're technically imported, which means they're probably not. But when they put imported on it, it just drives up the labels. Or the price.
Labels, huh?
Oh, yes! 5 dribbles! She's done it again. The dribble greets you.
Oh, no.
That is amazing. Keep it up, Lois. Keep it up.
Lord.
Hold on, we got some comments over here. Debbie says, good morning, guys. Good morning.
Good morning. And Renee says Valentine's Day.
Oh, was that 9 months ago?
I was 8.
Kelly says, good morning from Soggy Concho. Oh, are you guys raining down there?
Apparently.
Hold on, we're probably missing out on some stuff here.
Let's
see. Carrie says, oh my God, Becky, Chris, you're melting. It happens from time to time. Oh! 6 dribbles.
Oh, will you stop pulling that out?
No, because the viewers that are... wasn't me. But we won't count it because I was touching it. I didn't set it off. Warning!
Oh,
for
no.
entertainment purposes only.
No.
Renee says the tribble on the mouse might. Oh. Nice.
I don't know. Oh, Gina's falling asleep at her computer.
Oh no! Apparently we were boring today.
Oh no!
That's it. We're gonna have to cancel the show, man.
No. we have a fun thing also. Well,
Yes.
funner near.
Funner.
Near. Oh. That's horrifying.
The tribble doesn't need a mate. It found one.
That's even worse.
Morning. The show is for
Oh no! No. You combine those two, you have Cousin It.
Oh, what are we? What is that? Is that 6? She set it off again.
But if you think about it, you would have a mini Cousin It.
I don't know. That is kind of a mini Cousin It. What are you talking about?
No, I meant that truly walks.
No.
Yeah.
Oh God! You mean it's gonna come alive? Oh my God! There's 7. Yes. We're in a 7 tribble episode, everybody. Welcome to the Freak Show. Welcome to the. Oh my goodness. Holy cow. Debbie says, I think you're turning on that tribble. It wasn't me, it was her. The laugh, give it the wiggles. Gina says, no. I'm having a hard time waking up this morning. Oh. I'm sorry. I hate it when that. You know, I had that. When that alarm went off this morning, this usually doesn't happen to me. I woke up and it was just like.
Yeah, he was the angry bear when he woke up this.
Yeah, you know what? It felt like I didn't get any sleep last night.
That's not good.
No.
It's probably because I was there.
You're probably right. I don't know, man, but I was not in a good mood, and then I had to mess with the stupid coffee pot, and I was about ready to toss it off the counter and stomp on it.
I saw that. You were the angry grizzly this morning.
You gotta tell it. That's all I'm saying, man. I was not good. It was not good.
No, it wasn't. It was not.
Anyway, so going on to, you said we have something fun today.
We do.
Yes, we do.
But
so,
we normally have fun stuff.
We do?
Yeah.
No, I'm not used to having fun stuff because you're never around anymore, so I gotta play with myself.
Oh. PG-13. PG-13.
That was! What did you think I was talking about? I do. I have a tribble and a pink.
You know I'm in the sewer, man. I'm actually below the sewer, but hey.
I was gonna say, get out of the sewer and get back into the gutter with the rest of us.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
gracious.
no, Renee says, Gina says, I was busy in my dream running around trying to find a dress. It wore me out. Oh no, that's not good.
No, it's not.
Oh, ew. Carry over.
Ew!
Carry over on. Is this now happening to you?
Probably.
Carrie on YouTube says, oh my God, there was a huge spider on my back biting me. I was cleaning the garage. Can you say EBGB? Arachnophobia, man. And Carrie says, you did that anyway, Chris. Oh, damn. Damn. Anyway, yeah, spiders. Spiders.
Oh, God. I can't even. No.
What kind of spider was it?
I don't want. No. No.
That's horrifying. I hope you're okay, Carrie.
Oh, good God.
You know, there's a lot of stuff that I don't like biting me, but it won't get me as much. I mean, if it.
No, I just.
But I'm not like her. She'll help you burn out down your garage.
I will.
Carrie says yes. So she's out there right now talking to us on the morning show, getting bitten by a spider. Everyone, please visualize with us.
No, thank you.
And take a moment of silence to realize the horror that is happening with poor Carrie.
No, can't, no, you need to, no. I actually have experience with that, except I laid on the damn thing. And so I don't really blame it.
You laid on it, pissed it off.
But it was one of those that looked like a scorpion.
Okay.
That has the little pincher type mandible things.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And has a little flip tail, but they're yellowish.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember what those are called.
Neither can I. I some people have told me they're vinegaroons or something.
No, yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, I can't blame it for biting me because, well, when you have something that big rolling over on top of you.
I could see that happening. Yeah, I could. Kelly says, I woke up too. Grandma, get up. It's daytime. And dog poop all over everywhere.
Ew!
That's terrible, man.
That is.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's not a good way to wake up.
No, it's not.
Gina says, oh my gosh, I hate spiders. Yes. No good for the spiders. No good.
No.
Gina says, oh no.
Yeah.
And Debbie says, poor Carrie, get a can of Raid. I just had one of those old Raid commercials pop in my head.
And a lighter.
Raid, yeah. I was going to say, you don't need Raid. You need Raid and a lighter.
Just torch it. Just torch it, man.
That's it. We don't need no water. Let the beeper burn. See, I did it. I was able to censor myself.
Oh.
Tina says, had one of three bite me.
One or three
bite me one night. Ooh, got infected.
Ew.
Oh, no.
No, that's not good.
It's not good. Kelly says, I'm awake. LOL. Yeah,
no,
that'll
I would
definitely
be
do
too.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Renee says, child of the earth spiders. Yeah, that's what they're called. The one you were talking about?
They're freaky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they're not venomous, so.
They're still freaky.
Yeah, they're just pinchy.
Yeah, well, they're freaky.
Mm-hmm. I don't like scorpions very much either.
I've come across only two, and
they're little buggers, man.
They were the little itty bitty clear ones.
Yeah, those are the dangerous ones.
Yeah,
the smaller they are, the worse they are.
Yeah, they were in my house down in Huachuca City. Yeah,
you have lived in some weird peeping places in Arizona, man.
I have.
Huachuca.
Yeah.
Huachuca.
Well, there's a reason it's called Huachuca. It's because of Fort Huachuca.
Yeah, but there's still weird name. Just saying.
Yeah, but it's funny to watch people try to pronounce it based on the spelling.
Oh, is it one of those?
Yeah.
Oh. Carrie says over on YouTube says, I don't know yet. It survived my absent-minded scratch that knocked it off. I think it's the male black widow, brown and waxy. Ew. Not good, but not as bad as the female version. Gina says, eek.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Not good.
Keep an eye on that, Carrie.
Yeah, definitely.
Be safe. Be safe.
So it's too late. Her ass already got bit. Anyway. All right, so moving on to more interesting and less horrifying things.
Yes.
We got a package from the Mama Lois.
Yes.
But it's not so it's another one like the bread one where it was drop shipped from somewhere, so it doesn't have her personalized styling on it.
I don't think shippers or stores are willing to do that.
Actually, some of them are. It depends.
Oh, that is true.
Some. If you request it, like for instance, not at our local one because page, but like Pizza Hut, they have a thing where you can request to have stuff written on the boxes and things like that,
nice.
Or request to do things. They have it for here too, but it's page. But I have seen some amazing ones where they do some cool things and they'll like put faces on it and things like that, for fun. So, anyway.
Before you get going on that, Gina says, for me, the only good spider is a dead spider. Yes. And Renee says they glow under black light like a scorpion.
Yep. Because they're basically a scorpion without a stingy.
And yeah, they're really weird.
Yes, they are.
It's like a spider, some sort of spider mated with a scorpion.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Kelly says, Whitey's outside trying... What? This is going to be a crazy day. Okay, all right. Yes. I don't even want to know. Carrie says, stop talking about scorpions. They're all over at Wahweap Fish Cleaning Station.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, that's not fun. That is no fun.
No.
All right, so...
Moving on to happy things.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Mama Lois would not send a box of scorpions or spiders.
Yeah, no.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think she's got worse problems with it than you do.
She does.
So, we do have a box, but it does not have her personalized stuff, so let's go ahead and take a peek and see what we got.
Yes.
The interesting thing is, though, this is UPS second day air.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Does that mean 3 or 5 days here in Page?
I have no idea.
Let's take a look and find out. Say hello to my little friend.
Yes, there you are.
Let's see. What do we go here?
I don't know. We will find out then. I haven't even looked at the labels to see where they came from.
Oh, this one? It came from your mom. Seriously, this is all I got. Oh, man, it's got popcorn.
Uh-oh. Keep the dogs away.
Your popcorn of doom.
Oh, Carrie says the garage is now passed over as Drew's problem. And it's Halloween. Never say never.
Oh, yeah, this is true. This is true. Okay, so we got some kind of foil packaging here. I will see if I can tip this up so you guys can see. This is a... There we go.
Yeah, in a blank box.
Yeah, it's a blank box. It says the UPS store. Second day
Actually,
air.
it is from Mama Lois.
Oh.
It's not from a second
Oh,
source.
is it? What, where
And I don't know what she did with the writing.
Oh, she forgot it did.
And the only reason I know that is because it says UPS store on the box.
Oh, it's a foil bag. Oh, it's frozen stuff. All right, holy cow. All right.
Oh boy. Do you need some? Whoop.
That didn't count.
No, it does not.
Oh, there's some moistness in here. We got roasted garlic hummus.
Ooh, yummy.
Let's see what else we got in. Oh, here we go. We have, what is this one? This is original hummus.
Ooh, they look homemade-ish.
It's a frozer bag. Ooh.
It's a frozer bag.
There's some kind of wetness here. What is this?
Oh!
What is that?
Oh! Those are apple donuts.
Apple donuts.
From Apple
okay.
Hill. From Mama Lois's trip to Apple Hill.
Oh, we got another one. Oh, this one's a little squishy.
Oh.
All right, so we got and there's an apple pie in here.
Oh boy. Where do I put these things?
I don't know. You know what? Go run out and put them on the.
No, I'm putting them right there.
Oh my goodness! Help!
Ah!
There you go. All right, it's all wet.
And an apple pie.
What is it? Hey, what kind of apple
Unbaked fruit. Well, did you just ask what is an apple pie?
No, I said what kind. It's all wet. So apparently it was frozen at one point.
Yeah, it was. So that means we have to cook it today. Unbaked frozen classic apple pie, and it's from Boa Vista Orchards.
Let's see if we can hold that up there. So that, yeah.
Oh yeah, it definitely.
It's moist.
Yeah.
All right, so
Okay.
I have to kind of set that there. Careful, you break the damn thing. Ew, my hands are all wet now. So apparently it was a bag of frozen stuff.
Yes, it was.
Frozen stuff.
And an interesting mix. You've got the apple stuff, and then you have hummus.
And who didn't know that? I mean, hummus and apples are, they go together, right? Are you supposed to dip the pie in hummus?
Good God, I hope not.
or one of those apple donut thingamabobs.
No. I have apple juice all over my hands.
I'm not touching it, man.
Stop.
Not touching it.
Stop.
Carrie says you all forgot to refrigerate it, didn't you? No?
Well, we didn't stick it in the refrigerator last night.
I didn't know it was supposed to be a refrigerator. Either way, it wouldn't have fit in the fridge. It's a big ass box.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
It might be okay. Most of the fluids are on the bottom.
Gina says yum and wow. And Renee's saying yummy. Yeah, I think I know what I'm having for breakfast. And Debbie says Mama Lois sure does take good care of y'all.
Yes, she does. She does. There's the thing though. It's a little bit for herself as well. She likes watching the unboxing videos.
She does. She really does. So yeah, and Kelly's saying, "Wow, yum yum." Yeah, pretty much.
We'll have to give that a whirl. So you're gonna have to bake that thing today.
Yes,
yeah.
And heat up the apple donuts because those are my favorite. And for all three of them, I have to take some allergy pills.
Oh yeah, she's allergic to cinnamon, so yeah, she has to take allergy pills just to be able to eat apple pies and
apple-related things.
Yeah, because everybody puts cinnamon on apple stuff.
Yeah.
Gina says
nutmeg is better.
She should have written refrigerate on it. I think she did actually message us, so it's our own damn fault.
Yeah, it is.
But I didn't want to open it, and it wouldn't fit in the fridge by itself, so I wanted to open it today, but I think it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. We'll just stick it into the oven and
it'll be fine.
eat away.
Yeah, because what minor stuff may have been going on, the oven will kill it. So, just saying, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Oh, man.
But yeah, she did warn that it was at least me.
Yeah, I think so.
And I had mentioned we need to put it in, and
it won't fit in the fridge.
And
It's a
that was the
whole
response.
giant box.
That was the response. Carrie's saying, "I'll be right over."
No,
They're
you
not
stay
fit yet.
over there because you have been in the garage with the spiders, and you have to be decontaminated before you can come through the door. I have to hold you down.
Oh no!
Yeah, I don't even know, man. I don't even know. So that looks like it's gonna be darned interesting.
It's gonna be tasty.
Yeah.
That is one of my most favorite places in Northern California.
What's that?
Is Apple Hill.
Is that where this stuff comes from?
That's where all this stuff comes from. The last time I was
okay.
there, they had, I want to say, around 30 orchards, 30 different orchards, and one of them is where I think it's Rainbow Farms, where the apple donuts come from.
Oh, okay.
And just
so apple donuts. That sounds very tasty.
they are very tasty. Oh my!
Oh, and speaking of apple donuts, we got donuts. So, last night we purchased some milk to go with the cookies that you got.
Yes.
Because you can't have cookies without milk.
Right.
And so now we have donuts and we can have milk.
Yes.
Oh. I'm excited.
And there's also I'm very excited about these breakfast. Yay. And up on Apple Hill, there's also I haven't been there in years, but there was a microbrewery.
Okay.
And it was Jack Russell.
Carrier?
Yeah, Jack Russell Brewery.
Carrier?
I've got little shot glasses from them.
Okay.
And when I went there, they had little Jack Russells all over the place. It was great.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, Carrie over on YouTube. Good thing I reread that comment. Carrie said, "Spray me with Raid when I walk in."
Oh no!
I missed the Raid part. I was like, "What's going on over there, Carrie?"
Oh no!
Renee says, "Careful, she might like the hose."
Oh my!
It puts the lotion on the skin.
No, we are not going there. Oh man, my Facebook just blew up.
Your Facebook blew up? Oh, this one's been going in and
Yeah,
out
my
constantly.
Facebook just blew up.
I don't
It
even
says
know,
we
man.
can't.
Yeah, we only got 6 reactions on our stream today. Apparently everybody's bored to death.
No.
Fine, let's
No,
do that.
I Oh goodness gracious.
Anyway.
Oh no! And I know Mama Lois will watch this later.
Uh-huh.
But we did forget to tell her that. Yeah, by the way, it showed up.
Oh yeah. I asked you last night. You said you did.
No, I said I didn't.
She's gonna be mad now. Oh, she's gonna kill us.
No, she's not gonna kill us. Mad.
She's gonna hit us with her freaking walking
she-
stick, man.
Oh, good lord! No, you're probably right. She may be a little upset because she will have wanted to watch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Carrie says the venom may be kicking in.
Then go to the doctor.
Well, it
Oh,
is.
my
If
goodness.
it's on your back, is it right over your spine? Maybe, you know what, she's going to turn into Spider-Woman.
Oh, good lord!
That'll be pretty cool.
Oh, I just.
Well, I mean, she's already been bitten, so...
I know, it just still creeps me out. Just saying. Oh my goodness.
Oh, let me check the comments over here. Gina says, you might get some Benadryl now since you have the juice from the pie. Oh, yeah. Might have, yeah.
No, it's ingestion.
Yeah, she only
Yeah.
gets allergic when she eats it.
Yeah, and thankfully it's not like a lot of other allergies. It's just migraines.
Yeah,
So it's
you
fine.
have the weirdest stuff.
I know.
Anyway, Carrie says, that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it.
I love it.
Renee says, speaking of cookies, Oreo mystery cookies are out again. Cool. You still have a box of Oreo Game of Thrones cookies that I bought you. Yeah. And those things have a half-life of like 50,000 years, so you should be fine.
So they're right up there with Twinkies.
Yeah, pretty much. Just saying, there's enough sugar in there, nothing's going to live in it. Kelly says, I worked at Apple Orchard years ago.
I want to hear how you pronounce this.
Oh, I'm looking, man. Toom County. Toom County used to be... Eight. She set off the dribble. I have no idea what the hell that is. some communist state in California used to be a huge apple grower. What? What the hell? How did you... Oh, she set it off again. Damn, that's 2 in a row. You're very skilled at that.
Really?
What? How the hell do you say it? I think you're laughing so hard because you don't know either.
I do.
What is it? Is this like Huachuca where I don't even know?
Pretty much.
Damn, there it went again. You are on a freaking roll today. Poor Tribble. It's okay.
No. Oh,
You have heard the Tribble.
Oh my goodness. Oh, it's Tuolumne.
Tuolumne?
Yeah.
Tuolumne.
Tuolumne County.
Tuolumne. All right then.
Yeah, it's like Huachuca. Huachuca starts with an H.
Oh my goodness. Alright. I'm not touching that one. Not doing it. Nope.
Yeah.
So
Tuolumne County.
Tuolumne. But there's
Tuolumne.
Tuolumne or Tuolumne?
Tuolumne.
And that's how you spell it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Positive. That's how I knew what it was. And that's why I died laughing. Because you actually did a news story with that county's name in it.
Did I screw it up then too?
Oh, yes, you did.
You're welcome.
And I think there was one from Madera County or something like that where you just botched it.
There's another one. There was one in Arizona I jacked up. Because I was like, huh? You know, if you haven't seen it written out, but you hear the name, you know the name, and then you look at it, you're like, what the hell is that? You remember what it was? It was something strange. Canyon de Chile.
Yeah, oh.
De Che. Like, there's elves and stuff in there, man. What the hell? Canyon de Che. Or something like that. I was like, what the heck? And so I said it, and someone corrected me on the news, and I'm like, all right, cool. I don't really care.
No.
You knew what I was talking about, obviously, so my point came across.
Carrie's saying 10 times. No, we're not counting the times that he's set it off. And Carrie's saying triple mating call.
It is, man. It's on my mouse.
Oh,
Things is getting freaky on the desk over here.
Going there.
Renee says 10 dribbles. 10 dribbles. Kelly says, have a beautiful day, everyone. Gotta go do grandma stuff. Glad to make you laugh.
Yay, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
And thank you for joining us, and thank you for liking, commenting, and sharing it all of these.
But yeah, that's Tuolumne County.
Tuolumne.
Tuolumne County. I gotta show you Huachuca.
No,
since we're on this, I gotta
Right.
show you Huachuca.
Right.
Where the heck? Oy.
Not my fault. You don't know how to use this stuff. Hot. Is it really spelled that way? Oh my God, we're at 11. 11 dribbles. So that's why I can actually see that as Huachuca. That does not look like Tuolumne.
It's Tuolumne.
No.
Yes.
No, it's not. That's
But
like...
how can you see Huachuca in that? It's Huachuca.
Yeah, but see, Huachuca. That is Tuolumne. Tuolumne. I don't freaking know. What language is that? Is it French?
I don't know. I think that's actually the name of a tribe.
Oh. Well, I would explain it. So, this is Huachuca. So that's how I would say it. If I didn't know it was Huachuca, I'd be Huachuca. At least it's close. That one, I wasn't even in the same freaking field, man.
It's like Picacho Peak.
Oh, no, it's Pikachu. Pikachu Peak,
First
man.
time Mama Lois saw that, she was like, Pikachu?
Yeah, I love that. Every time I drive down there, when you're on your way down to Phoenix, or
Tucson.
Is it Tucson? Okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's
down south in hell somewhere in Arizona. There is a peak called Picacho. How unoriginal. So I renamed it Pikachu. Every time I see it, it's Pikachu Peak.
What do you mean, how unoriginal? That was also the name of a tribe.
No, it's Pikachu. I'm just saying.
But yeah,
It's Pikachu Peak, man.
Oh my goodness. One of these days we'll have to do a morning show on mispronunciations of cities and
Oh, we can have some fun with that.
oh, big time. I've come across some where I've heard them before, but I hadn't seen them in writing.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Well, that happens. It's like the Muggy on Rim.
Well,
That's a weird one.
I still have issues with that. But like Greenwich, I had never seen it spelt out until like my senior year in high school.
For what now?
Greenwich.
Oh, gotcha.
And when I first saw it, I read it as Greenwich.
Yeah, but in my head, I can still put that together.
Yeah, but it was just one of those.
Carrie's asking if you were just activating your gag reflex.
No.
Not on live
No.
TV. I don't. What? What?
Wow.
I don't even know, man. I don't even know.
Degeneration.
Renee says, Bourbonnais, Illinois, pronounced Bourbonnais. Oh my God. Bourbonnois. I don't even know, man. Stop messing with me.
That's how I would pronounce it, would be Bourbonnois.
Bourbonnois?
Or Bourbonnais.
Bourbonnais. Bourbonnais.
Bourbonnais.
Bourbonnais. It's Bourbonnais. Bourbonnais, Illinois.
Oh.
Let's see.
God.
Carrie says, wow, there's a tribe of Pikachus. I don't even know, man.
Oh my goodness.
See,
no.
how cool is that?
No.
A bunch of lightning things down there shooting the crap out of people. What? Anyway, that is all the time we have today. Once again, today's episode brought to you by the Page Hospital. A big shout out to them for sponsoring the morning show, guys.
Yes,
thank you for
thank
joining
you.
us. Thank you for liking, commenting, and sharing out all of these videos. Happy Friday!
And remember, for you guys and Paige, if you have trash or if today's your trash day, it's
Oh yeah,
your
trash day. Don't get me started with the recycling. We're not recycling. It's trash. They don't recycle. So put your trash out. Or it doesn't matter what color can it is. Doesn't matter. It's all going to the same place, man. All going to the same place.
And Carrie, I don't want to know what the D stands for in there.
Whoa! Carry on YouTube. Anyway, you guys have an amazing Friday.
Bourbonnais.
Bourbonnais.
That actually sounds like it should be down in Illinois, or not in Illinois. I was just reading that in Louisiana.
Louisiana. Oh, hot sauce.
Yeah, Bourbonnais.
The wine. The wine. All right, guys. We love you. Thanks for being here. Have a great Friday and an amazing weekend.
Oh boy.
Woo!